Mike Bond here with UFC light heavyweight contender Anthony Smith. And Anthony, today is the day you were supposed to be weighing in for a fight against Glover Teixeira. It was supposed to be a local fight for you, main event, all that good stuff. Here we are today. I mean, how are you kind of digesting all those feelings of being you were supposed to be so close to a fight right now at this point?
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's really more because it was supposed to be at home. Like I understand that with this whole, with the whole pandemic going on in the country and like things just aren't going to be how they typically would be. I get that. It's more disappointing that like I just had the opportunity to fight here at home, tomorrow, and I lost that opportunity. But I kind of knew that I knew I lost that opportunity a long time ago. So I've kind of, over time I've been dealing with it, and I'm over it at this point, and just hope that at some point the UFC wants to come back.
Yeah, for sure. I guess losing, that hometown chance to compete. So I guess when did you really know? I know the UFC like officially postponed the event there like a week or so ago, but how long ago were you kept in the loop that this event wasn't going to happen there?
It's been a couple weeks before that.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks before that, we knew that it was uh, probably not going to happen. Which and a lot of that is Nebraska. That's not the UFC's fault. That's not anything. That's Nebraska's. The guidelines, the safety guidelines as far as social distancing and the amount of people that you can have around in a certain area. A lot of that comes down to the local states. That was Nebraska's call.
Okay. So, and then what information did you get along there? Obviously, just a few minutes ago, as of right now, the UFC announced that they're doing events May 9th, May 13th, May 16th, and potentially May 23rd. I know I had heard as well that, they were still working on producing packages and stuff to feature around your fight. So is it safe to assume that, this fight could be happening still sooner than later?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if they already announced that the fights are happening on those days, I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you, but I'm on one of those days. I guess I can tell you that.
Yeah. Will it still be a headliner, 5 rounds? Do you know that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's great, man. So I guess
And
what
it's and it's you know what, and it's still my main man Glover. Like that, I'm telling you, man. I haven't for a second wondered if Glover was not going to make this fight. And it's been one part of it that has been a big relief to me. He's just a gamer, and he shows up when he says he's going to show up, and that's why Glover Teixeira has always had my respect, and that doesn't change the fact that I'm going to go in there and try to take his head off. But uh, I respect that dude. He hasn't for a second wavered. He's been in this fight with me through all the date changes and all the postponements. We've been in this thing ready to roll whenever they're ready to run us out there. So, you know, props to him for that.
Yeah. Have you communicated with him at all during this time?
No, just I mean through the UFC.
Right.
Every time they have a question like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Like, yeah, like as long as Glover's in, I'm in, and the response is we talk to him first. He's good. Like, all right, let's roll. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, especially with him living in the United States, I imagine if he wasn't in the country, that would have been the biggest problem there.
Yeah, he's kind of in a hot spot. I believe he lives in Connecticut, so
Yeah.
um, fortunately, he's been able to stay healthy, and his family's been able to stay healthy. So. Uh, Given the circumstances and him living so far east, I'm glad that he was able to stay safe to make it to the fight.
Yeah. So, in terms of your training, can you just give us some details and how you're really preparing for this fight? And I guess once the date was pushed back, what adjustments you had to make to your training camp to, be peaking a few weeks later?
Well, my training honestly doesn't really look any different here at home. Obviously, I'm not doing I'm not able to travel back and forth between Omaha and Denver, and also from Omaha to Kansas City, and like I kind of do that three-way travel thing during my training camp. So I haven't been able to do that, but I kind of brought in my secret weapon that I always bring in every training camp, at least the last handful of training camps. He was already quarantined and locked down in the city he's from. So he hadn't been around anybody in a couple of weeks, and I got my training partners here, and we kind of all made a deal that we're only gonna be around each other. We have a small team here anyway, so it's pretty easy to stay under 10 people here. So everything's been the same. I got my regular coaches here in Nebraska. I got my regular teammates, and then my one secret weapon I always bring with me, and it's been good as far as dealing with the pushback. As soon as they postponed it, Hunter and Dana called and let me know that don't completely pull your foot off the gas because we're gonna get this fixed. Like it's gonna be quick. So it sounds like at the time it sounded like, oh, we're gonna be shut down for months and months and months, uh, publicly. But as soon as the news broke, they called right away and they said, don't believe everything you read. We're gonna be rolling again right away. So I took a week off. Like just kept it real light and playful and let my body recover a little bit. I mean, I've been in camp since January, man.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long time. We pushed the fight to April because that was the only day that this was yet tomorrow was the only day that we could have done a fight event in Nebraska. I wanted to fight in February, so I waited 2 additional months to be able to fight in Nebraska. So now we're pushed back, another month or whatever it is. I've just been in camp a long time, so I took a week off just to recover and just reset my brain and we're back at it. I think that I'm on track to be able to peak at the right time. I think knowing far ahead of time that I wasn't going to be fighting April 25th in Nebraska, I think that helped kind of program my training a lot too, though.
Yeah, and how are you feeling? I mean, obviously you had some pretty significant injuries you had to come back from, and that was really where you were building the start of your training camp off. So now that we are, here however many days away from the fight, just how do you feel?
Oh, I'm ready to fight. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. I'm in good shape. I'm sharp, but I'm not too afraid to be honest with you guys. I'm banged up. I mean, look at me. I got black eyes and shit. My nose is all busted up. I mean, I've been going hard, man. I've been pushing, pushing, pushing this whole time. So your typical, nagging stuff. My ankles hurt from the kicking. My hands are sore. Like my head hurts. I'm just over it. I'm over it.
Yeah,
Like I'm excited to get back in there. So I just gotta, it's gotta adjust, and I just gotta push on. I gotta push through it. Uh, Nagging injuries happen. I'm sure that, and I wouldn't even call them injuries. It just nag it that hurts, and his training isn't exactly as normal as it used to be. But goddamn it, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna put on a show.
no doubt. And I imagine you're a little emotionally drained too. I mean, we don't need to get into you retelling the whole story of the home invasion and stuff. There's interviews and stories out there. Anyone who's not aware can go into read the details of that. But a few weeks removed from all that, just how have you digested it? Do you have any different feelings now that you have some hindsight on it than more so what you expressed really in the moment when it was really fresh?
No, no, I think I do my best. I think I give my best interviews when it's raw. When that's just how I feel and that's how it is. Uh, in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't kill him. Like what I would have been, extremely justified in doing that. But and at the time, I kind of regretted it because I think at the time I thought I made a bad decision. For my family, by maybe not, but I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with that whole red tape and the problems that come along with that and the guilty conscience and all that stuff. I was really angry initially, and the anger is worn off, and I'm more. I don't know. I just hope he gets the help that he needs. It sounds like he's got some really serious mental issues and some drug abuse problems and stuff like that. So um, I hope he gets the help he needs. Again, I don't feel guilty for anything I did to him, but I hope he gets the help he needs, and he's a young kid. Maybe he had to do what he did to move on and grow in his life. Later on and realize how much he needs help. I don't know, but it's the only way I can think about it. As far as my kids, we're still struggling. It's they're still really nervous. They get really scared at night and wake up. They were sleeping in our room we're in my master bathroom actually on an air mattress until 4 nights ago. So, Monday we started to try to get them back into their own bedrooms and their own beds. So, they're long nights. They're constantly up and coming in crying, and you just gotta make them feel safe, and get them back in their own beds. You can't have them sleeping in my bed forever. So we're getting there though. They're strong. My family's strong and they're tough, and they don't have no choice. I'm not going to allow them to be anything but tough. So um, they had their time to be scared and worried, and they're going to have to just be tough, and they're going to have to just know that I'll keep them safe again if I have to, and we just move on, and we just not let this guy affect us the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine that's one of the bigger challenges, right? Like, there's a level of trauma that comes with that. I'm sure you hear, any little thing around the house at night, you're hypersensitive to it now, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I have to kind of check myself sometimes too, and just realize like the world's not out to get me. Like maybe it feels like it in the moment, and you think you're getting targeted and whatever, but it was just a random act. Like there was no reason he came into my house. There was no reason he went into anyone else's house. It's just how it went. Just unlucky that we lived on that street. So, but you're right. You hear stuff at nighttime. You get paranoid, and I think as far as safety wise, I think it helped everyone in my neighborhood, not just my own family. There's even a couple nights ago, there was the neighbor up the street had his garage door open at like 10:30. So instead of me typically being like, oh, it's not a big deal, I went and knocked on his door and said, hey, Hal, you're gonna have to close the damn garage door, man. We can't be leaving that stuff open. So having a heightened sense of awareness and checking on your neighbors and it's kind of pulled us all together as a community, just as far as making sure everyone's being safe and everyone's taken care of. So, there's some positives that have come out of it, but there's definitely some secondary trauma that the kids are dealing with. And it's, they're just gonna have to work through it. They're gonna have to work through it. And we got them talking to counselors and they're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And obviously, you have the support of pretty much all the MMA community, maybe not one person in John Jones. I mean, this whole thing stemming from that has been really bizarre. The comments he's made. Just what are your thoughts on all that and how he's kind of reacted to what you went through?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm not surprised at anything John Jones did or said. That wasn't shocking to me at all. That's just who he is. I can't imagine too many people were shocked. Typically, John hasn't really come at me too much, and I think that some of that is because of even when I say things that John doesn't like, I'm respectful about it and I don't attack him personally. This is the first time John's ever attacked me personally.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to say I suck at fighting, he'll kick my ass. Like, whatever. Like, you're a fighter. You're supposed to think that. And he's already beat me once. So like, if he wants to think that, whatever. But as far as attacking me personally, this is the first time John's ever done that. And even when I have spoken on John and the things that he's done, it's never been from a personal place. It's been how does that action affect him professionally? But I've never really spoken too badly. And if anything, I've stuck up for him and I've actually put my own self in the fire and said that I've done a lot of the same shit that John Jones has done. I've never fired off a gun in public before, but that's about the only thing John Jones has done that I haven't done. Steroids and shoot guns in public. That's it. Those are two things John's got on me. So, I don't know where it came from. I don't know why, but I'm not surprised. I'm more surprised in the media turning it into John Jones versus Anthony Smith Twitter battle. Like, this isn't a Twitter battle. Like, he said something, I said he was a douchebag for saying it, and he said something else, and then we moved on. Like, I don't have a rebuttal for John because I'm not surprised. I can't believe anyone's surprised. It is what it is. So I'm more disappointed that the media ran with the I didn't want to tell the story what happened in my house anyways.
Right.
I wasn't ready to tell it when I told it. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have told anybody. But I'm a public figure and it's gonna come out. So if it's gonna come out, I'd rather it be on my terms. And the way that the UFC and my lawyer said that if it's gonna come out and go viral all over the goddamn world, then it might as well be coming out of my mouth instead of some media outlet with 27 followers, writes some bullshit 250 character write up on their whatever bullshit MMA site it is, and then it get twisted and construed, and they're reading police reports that are they're super short, that are only one paragraph. Like, I just would rather it came out from the source. I'll tell you what happened. Point A to point B. Here's how we got there. So I didn't want to tell it to begin with. So they took a story that I didn't want anybody to know anyways, and took it from this disaster that happened in my house and turned it into John Jones versus Anthony Smith, which is exactly what John Jones wanted. That's why he said something. It's an opportunity for John to get into the media. He does it all the time. Anytime Izzy fights, who do you hear from? John Jones. Anytime, whoever, name your goddamn person. Anytime John can get some, he's going to get some. And I just can't believe that the media was okay with using this opportunity to let John get his in.
Yeah, so I guess it doesn't really change your perspective on him at all, because it was basically expected, or kind of expected.
No. John is gonna John. That's just it's. And again, I'm not out here attacking the media. I've never been the fighter to attack the media. I get it. It's a double-edged sword. Like, we can run on morals, but let's not pretend like morals pays the bills and drives traffic to your site. I get that. So I just don't have to like it. I understand it for sure. Like, if John Jones is going to tweet at me and be an asshole on something personal, I get it. Like, if you're not going to write about it or retweet it or comment on it as an MMA outlet, like, you're missing because someone else is going to. So I get it. Clicks and likes and traffic matters. So I understand that, but I don't have to like it. And that's the point I'm making. I'm not out here attacking the media. It's just, it's just disappointing. It sucks. But as far as how I feel about John, do I dislike him less or do I dislike him more? No, I'm indifferent.
Yeah, fair play. And with everything that happened with him in his own life recently, do you think we see him fight this year? And if so, what do you think? Is it going to be that Dominic Reyes rematch?
Yeah, I think he'll fight this year. And I do. I think it'll be Reyes. That's just the feeling I have. I don't have any information behind that. I have a feeling that Reyes fight was too close to not run it back. And I think that, how many times have we seen close fights that should have been rematched, not get ran back? And then, later on, I think everybody regrets that stuff. So, for me, because I really think Jan deserves a shot at the short end of the deal there. I think that was a bad decision. So I think it's only fair for Reyes to run that back.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how that goes.
And I don't even think he'll win. And honestly, I don't think Reyes will win the second time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he won the first time. I don't see him being able to do it again. I don't. John is pretty good in rematches, and I think Reyes was the best he can be. Like that. I think that's the best he's got. And John he's very, very smart. And I just don't know if Reyes can evolve that much and change that much in that short amount of time.
Yeah, there was definitely an element to surprise in his first run of success there, and with 25 minutes, who knows if he's able to do that with John being able to study off of it. But back to you, I guess, as we close things out here. So you got the fight coming up in a few weeks. From your mind, what safety measures, I guess, and all these things, like you feel comfortable that the UFC is going to do everything to protect you in this, environment with the coronavirus and everything going on? Like, what do you know about that side of it? And I guess, what's your expectations to be able to know that you're going in there on fight night, as safe and healthy and in a good environment?
Yeah, they've assured us that they're not going to put us in positions that are going to be unsafe. So, I just trust them, man. I just trust them. And they're going to do the testing protocols. They're going to make sure everybody's safe. And then we're just going to go from there. I just don't think that they would put us in a position to be unsafe or to contract it. I think everyone's going to be tested. I think that the social distancing guidelines are going to be adhered to. I think that you're already going to be around your team. So realistically, like, we could move in to wherever, into Jacksonville, go fight, and really not come in contact with anyone other than our our opponents. Really, if you think about it, like who else would I have to come in physical contact with from the time I get to Jacksonville until I leave, other than I'm around my teammates or around my coaches anyways. So I'm already in physical contact with them, and obviously we don't have the coronavirus. So as long as we just keep our small group together, and Glover's, he's going to be tested, and he's only around people that are obviously don't have the coronavirus. So I think we can get in and get out. I think traveling is going to be the hardest part. It's just making sure that we're able to travel in and travel back safely. And so there's obviously some questions there and stuff we got to go through there, but that I think that's the bigger issue than the actual fight itself.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that side all goes down smooth. And then what about the aspect of fighting, no crowd, it's a very small environment, not gonna be much of those outside elements there. It's pretty much just gonna be you, Glover, and a referee. How do you process that?
Man, listen, I came up in the Midwest on the regional scene, like in the early 2000s. I'm not. It wouldn't be the first time I fought in an empty arena. I'll tell you that. And that was to a place that was selling tickets. So I fought in crazier places, man. I fought I fought middle of the week. I fought on Sundays. I fought on Mondays. It doesn't matter, man. I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me at all. Obviously, you can pull from the crowd a little bit if you need to, but once the fight starts, I'll be honest with you. I don't imagine too many guys really notice the crowd that much unless it's like some super crazy shit going on and they're going nuts. I kind of check out and just do my thing anyway. So, I just don't worry about stuff like that. I didn't fight in really cool places to begin with. I didn't come from, one of the super gyms in the country to begin with. Obviously I ended up at Factory X, but I mean, I kind of paved my road, in small gyms with a small number of really badass training partners, and we just had great coaches and did it. And I kind of feel like I'm back on the regional scene a little bit, like small training camp, working really 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 goddamn hard, just really tough on our bodies because we're just busting our ass so hard, and going to fight in some crazy random place that we don't know with no people, man. I'm kind of kicking old school, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess like the one cornerman is that what you're hearing? There's only gonna be one cornerman on fight night.
I haven't heard that part. I guess I haven't asked. But again, to be honest with you, like when I was an amateur, at times I didn't have a corner.
Yeah.
So like it is what it is, man. Like we'll figure it out. That's probably a good question to ask, though. But I do know Dana said that they were still working on that. So maybe, I think it was Friday. Dana said he wasn't sure what the cornerman and stuff like that was going to look like. So maybe they don't know yet.
Yeah, very interesting. And I guess the last
maybe
thing,
I should start asking more questions.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know, but
I just need date and location. Send me location. That's
exactly.
it. I need a plane ticket. I need a plane ticket and a time. That's it. The rest we'll figure out on the fly.
Yeah, and you've been through worse, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. And last thing before I let you go, I want you to put on, just because you almost made a Habib type joke there, I want you to put your analyst hat on May 9th, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, interim lightweight title, one of the most bonkers matchups the UFC can make. I know there's the element of disappointment we're not getting Habib and Tony, but if you take that outside of it, this fight is absolutely ridiculous. Just give us your analytical take on it.
I'm more excited for this fight than I was for Khabib and Tony. And I understand that the Khabib and Tony, saga has it carries its own excitement because of it's been postponed so many times, and both of those guys are on such long streaks. But that's a fairly basic matchup, right? If you look at it, can Khabib take Tony down? And if he can he hold him there? If he can hold him there, can he stay away from the submissions and the scrambles? That's really the question. It's that basic. Can Tony stop the takedown? And if he doesn't, can he get back to his feet? Can he cut Khabib from the bottom with those elbows and scramble and get back to his feet and hurt him when he's striking? That's really it. I see it's fairly basic. Justin Gaethje and Tony, god damn, who knows? I don't know. Is Justin Gaethje going to finally decide to wrestle? Maybe. I think that would be smart to do early. I don't think getting in that fiery knockdown drag out brawl with Tony, the dude just doesn't get tired. And he's, Chael Sonnen talks about it a lot, but Tony Ferguson has weaponized his conditioning, and he pushes people and he breaks people. With Gaethje coming in on a short camp, in this current time that we're living in right now, we already know Tony's in shape. He just made 155, which isn't easy to do for Tony.
Great.
Tony's damn near my size when he's walking around. He's 200 plus. So if he's able to make 155 and then he's got to fight, he's in shape. He's in shape. Tony Ferguson can't make weight unless he's in the shape of his life. So, what does Justin Gaethje's conditioning look like? I think we're going to find out. I think that Gaethje probably has the striking advantage, though. I just don't. If he can't finish Tony Ferguson on his feet, I don't think he's going to be able to fight him like that for 5 rounds. So, if I had to guess, of course, we really have no idea. But I mean, if I had to put some money down on it, I would say Tony takes over, the last 3 rounds of the fight.
Yeah, should be super interesting. And like you said, in these times, it's so hard to know how these fighters are going to come in there, what type of preparation, all those type of things. But what type of preparation you've got and everything. So as we close things out, give us the prediction. How do you beat Glover Teixeira?
I've been out a while, man. June 1st will be a year I haven't fought. So that's, we're going on 11 months already. So I think I'm going to have to spend a round or 2 shaking off some of that rust and just getting moving and being comfortable in there. But I do think that with my pressure and just being pinpoint accurate, and I think I get a late finish. And if I'm guessing, I think Glover's going to have to be forced to take some bad shots to stay safe. And I think it'll be a submission. I do, and I know that that one would mean a lot to me. Getting a submission win over someone is heralded as Glover Teixeira on the ground. He's a really good black belt. He's really, really good. But so am I. So I think Glover's going to be hard to knock out. I do. And I'm trying to be a little smarter with my hands these days. So we're going heavier volume, and we're going to throttle the power back a little bit and be a little more tactical. So I'm gonna see if we can submit Glover Teixeira.
Very interesting. Well, yeah, definitely take care of those hands. We want to keep all 10 fingers on there. So,
yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, really appreciate the time. I've taken up more than enough of your day. Glad that you are still getting a fight coming up here in a few weeks, still the main event, all that kind of stuff. Going to be really interesting to see how these fight cards go down in Florida over the next few weeks. But excited for you and looking forward to seeing you in there.
Thanks, man. Hey, I really miss doing these things in person when we're on the road together. So
I know
it's crazy.
Who knows when we'll get back to that, man? Hopefully, it's sooner than later.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we can all stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you on the road one of these days.
For sure, man. Really appreciate it, Anthony. Have a good day.
Yeah. Take care, brother.